Let's talk about how we can stay productive and stop beating our bloody heads against the wall on days when we don't feel we're as productive as we should be. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart and something I've struggled with for ages, and that's productivity. And when I say productivity, some of you might be the type of individual like myself where you wake up in the morning or even beginning of the week, typically on Sundays, I'll sit down and I'll look at my week and I'll add a million things into my schedule because I'm like, that's what I'm going to need to be productive. And then at the end of the week, I would sit back and realize I accomplished maybe 50% of them. And I started thinking to myself, did I slack off? Did I screw the pooch? Where did I go wrong? What did I do? Did I take an extra long lunch? Was I maybe not as productive? Was I not as intentional in my work? And all these thoughts keep going through my mind. And then I started doing a lot of education on it. And I realized that I was putting too much on my plate. I wasn't making realistic expectations about timelines of things to be done. I would do things where I'd say, we're going back probably 15 years in my career now, where I'd say, okay, I'm going to close like 7 deals this month. And realizing I had maybe a half full pipeline, there was no way in hell it would have happened that I was closing 7 deals, but I would push towards that all month. And then at the end of the month, I'd feel so deflated because I didn't get to my goal. I felt so deflated. It was crazy. And then I stopped and realized and said, why is it? Like, is it my skill level? Is it something? And then I came across your 5 big moves. This strategy that I got from one of my mentors was one of the best strategies I could probably have ever come across. And I'm of the belief, and I know we've said it before, Ryan and I on the show, that, everything happens for a reason. But I'm a big believer that this philosophy came by at the perfect time. And that perfect time was when I was most deflated. And what, in essence, the 5 big moves are, is you choose 5 big overarching things that you want to accomplish. So if I look, I can just actually pull my big 5 moves because I actually keep them right in front of me if I can ever get this off of my thing for y'all. So if y'all are watching this on video, you can see it. So these are my 5 moves. So my 5 moves are exercise, education, my daily framework, my sales, and bridger development. So for me, every single day, I have one thing in my calendar for each of those 5 moves. So, for example, you're a salesperson in logistics. Your 5 moves might be enhancing the relationship of my customers. Now, that's an overarching move. Inside that is all the tasks, lunch with clients, get more personal, find out about their goals, their objectives, their desires, both personal and business. And so these are all tasks inside that big move. Another big move for you as a salesperson might be sales every day. So blocking time out every day to make sales, regardless of what's happening, regardless if your world's imploding, is blocking time to make sales every day. So sales would be a big move. And underneath sales would be blocking an hour out in the morning, maybe an hour out in the afternoon, getting better at email, getting better at cold calls, getting better at my framework, getting better at my follow-ups. Like, all of these things are tasks inside the big block of your big 5 moves. So when I started applying that to my daily life, I found, most importantly, like, of course, productivity did take off because you're focused on 5 things and only 5 things throughout the day. So I'll typically do 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, or I'll do 2 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, or I'll do 4 in the afternoon, 1 in the morning, depending on what the moves are, depending on what the tasks are inside. So for example, I'll give you an example from last week. Last week, one day I spent probably 80% of my day on development, just going through code, looking at code, talking with our CTO and getting things ready for the base foundation of what we want to build for the next process in Bridger. And without giving too much away, it involves so many things that no system on the planet has. So it's going to need a different structure for the background. Now, That was about 80% of my day, 80 to 90% of my day. So at the end of that, I said, how am I going to put in 4 more moves today to make sure I stick to my 5 moves? So in sales, I sent out 30 emails right away, just quick emails. Hey, just wanted to follow up, this kind of thing. And so there's my sales in, right? Exercise, I did a quick 20-minute HIIT workout on Apple Fitness. There we go. There's my exercise. Education, I did my education at night. So at night, I put on a couple of YouTube videos, learned a new software program, that kind of stuff, learned a new coding system, that kind of stuff. That's my education, right? Then my daily framework. What's my daily framework? Well, I realized this podcast is part of my daily framework. So I actually completed that step. So you see, I went from right when I hung up with the last dev call, and I'm sharing this just with you because our days can move in so many ways. And if y'all get the gist of it and kind of that idea that's in the center, I think we can all win, right? So at the end, we're sitting here, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm looking, I go like, okay, I got an hour and a half, then I'm, dinner time, then family, and things kind of start shifting into that family mindset instead of the business mindset. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? So I had an hour and a half to complete, pretty much 4 things that typically I have scheduled for 4 to 5 hours a day, right? But what I did is I did this hybrid. So at the end of the day, I still had my 5 moves done. And I know now I'm on this consecutive streak of every day having those 5 moves in and doing them. So at the end of the day, I went from pretty much deflated at, 3:30 in the afternoon to a sense of, yeah, I got that accomplished. That was pretty darn cool at 5 o'clock. Still made it within my day, but it's because, and here's the big mental switch for all of you out there that might be struggling with this productivity, with this, how do I get more done? I'm making sales calls and sales calls aren't going the way they used to go, and customers are taking longer to close, and all these cycles are changing, and how do I increase my productivity to close faster, to do all these things? And if you create these 5 moves, the beautiful thing is psychologically at the end of the day, if I get all 5 done, I know I'm moving towards my goal. I know I'm progressing. And some days, yes, I might still have that feeling that I don't progress the way I thought I would, or the way I had anticipated, the way I envisioned in my mind. You see, a lot of what I'm realizing through a lot of my counseling and therapy these days is I'm realizing, and for those of you that don't know, I'm going through like a PTSD style issue in my life from all my illness a year ago, where it's starting to flood back to me because now is the time of the year a year ago where I got really sick. So in this mental state, I think what we do, and if there's anyone out there that's watching or listening, and if you're in this world, please educate me on this. But this is my theory on it. Is we have all these things in our head that we want to do, and we don't necessarily take into account the length or time that it's going to take to accomplish it, right? We want to do so many things in less time in order to maximize our time, I guess. When I stopped thinking like that and I started saying, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on my 5 moves today. Today creates the motivation for tomorrow. Right? Like, if we look at what's happened in our lives in business, right? Let's just take business, for example, because if we get into personal, we can go for hours on this. But in business, typically what's happening now is from efforts from 60, 90, 120 days ago are coming to fruition now. So that original effort then, and then a consistent effort in the interim brings us to where we are today, right? If you're finishing the year, rocking the charts, it's because you had effort in all year round. It's because you probably sold during COVID. It's because you didn't stop. See, this is where, to me, the big 5 moves come in. Regardless of economics, regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of any new virus kicking in, if I just focus on my 5 moves every day, at the end of every day, I will feel a sense of accomplishment. I could put my head down at night knowing that I'm moving towards my goal. Some days we have big leaps. Some days we have tiny steps. Some days we get kicked backwards. We take 5 steps forward. We get kicked 6 steps back, and we take 1 step forward, and we might feel like we're at the same place. But the reality is we're not. Because we got kicked 6 steps back, we actually worked our way up 7 paces. So we actually are further ahead than if we stayed lying down. And I think that's one thing that we miss, a lot of us miss, is, where were we at this point 6 months ago? Where were we at this point 9 months ago? Are we ahead of where we were? Yes, goals are one thing, and I think most people set goals that they would love to reach, and that sometimes are out of their wheelhouse. And I could say, and I shouldn't say most of us. I did this when I was younger. I would set huge GP goals at the end of the year. And I remember my manager saying, Dan, what are you going to do to get there? And I was like, I'm just going to sell. And I would come close. I wouldn't hit them, and then I would miss them, or one year I would exceed them, and then of course I would double my goals for next year because, oh my God, I did this. So it's a funny thing when it comes to that production and that productivity and the moving forward. But one thing that is sure that I've learned from many different major philosophers in the world is motion creates emotion. So if we just step forward into our big 5 moves every day. And I can only speak for myself. When I stepped into my big 5 moves every day, my productivity changed. It really changed. And I'll share something with you. Even when I was going through cancer, I still had 5 big moves I had in a day. They just changed from what I would have my 5 moves when I'm healthy. So whatever phase you're in life right now, whatever point you're at, I could tell you, as somebody who's been in a lot of very difficult spots in their life, health-wise, mental-wise, friendship-wise, family-wise, all sorts of stuff. Like, we've all been through these things. I'm no different than any of you. But one thing I did realize is I have control. I have a choice over my mindset every day. And I have a choice at the end of the day to look at my schedule and say, yes, I got all of these accomplished. I have my big 5 moves. I know exactly where I'm at. Or I have the choice to say, I didn't get enough accomplished. Yeah, big deal. I got my big 5 moves, but I wanted 10 times what I got today. Realizing that that's not possible every day. You might have days where you have these spurts and you go, but it's not possible every day. And when I realized that and chose to look at it as a progression and say to myself, wow, today was, at the end of the day, today was super productive. I got this done, this done, this done, this done. And don't get me wrong. Christine, my wife, will ask me every day, how was your day? Did you get everything done you wanted to get done? I said, no, but I got everything done that I could do today. So I'm still aware that I didn't get everything done that I wanted to get done. And again, that's me, right? I set these massive expectations every morning and I strive to get there. But I've come to realize, and I've come to train myself, I've come to accept that I'm still going to strive to get there. But if I fall just a bit short, I'm still so much further than most people that have a goal here and fall this short. I stretched it, it's off the screen, and now I can reach it and I hit the height of my day. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about really productivity, addressing your big 5 moves and trying to shift that mindset. So I don't know if that's going to help any of you out there. I really hope it does. I hope it gives you a different perspective on productivity, and especially coming into the holiday season now. And then January, everybody comes out with these massive goals in January, and it happens to be the 2 slowest months in logistics, but we all have these massive goals. And I feel, from what I've seen, what I've experienced with students, and what I've experienced with my own business, is that sometimes we get deflated by the end of January and our goals haven't even begun. The year's barely even started and we're already deflated. So I would suggest this year maybe taking a different approach and saying, these are my 5 moves. I'm going to do these every day for the month of January. And here's where I want to be at the end of the month. And take moves that progress you forward, right? You notice mine is exercise. I have to get in shape. Exercise is a huge priority. It's number 1 on my list. Number 2 on my list is education. Number 3 is my daily framework, daily things that I do every day. Number 4 is sales. And number 5 is development. Like, each of these 5 moves are very important, so the numbers on the list don't matter. But I'll tell you one thing, in my schedule every day for the next 16 months is a time to work out. That's blocked, that does not get moved. Does not get moved. And so I know every day, no matter what, I have that. And if I have days like I did last week where I was on dev all day, and as much as I was like, okay, let's take a lunch break, it's like half an hour and you try to get 5 minutes in, you barely even get a heartbeat up. I realized that wasn't enough and I needed to do it at night. So I needed to do it right after. So I did a quick, as I said, 15-minute HIIT workout. Heart rate was raised. Sure, did I want to do 45 minutes? But at least I got something in. And that's the biggest thing. At least you got some of it done. It's a step forward as opposed to sitting in bed and eating chips. You know, sitting in bed eating Cheetos. I got up and I did something. So take that today as much as you might not be feeling it or something might be going on in your life. Take it as, if I just make one step, I'm being progressively. And that's the big thing for all of us. If we progress even an inch every day, at the end of the year, we'll be 365 inches closer to the goal we want. And not all goals, everybody, are annual goals. Right? So that as well. You know what? You might need to give yourself 2 years to get where you want to go. Not a year. But get an inch in every day and make it powerful. Until next time, my friends, go out there, make every call educational, and crush your sales. Take care.